Hi everyone. Thanks for coming. So glad to see you today. So I got a really interesting, what I kind of call a download of a way to describe what we do with feelings. I got this from my guides today, and it's a very common situation that we're all in, where we begin to oftentimes think that we are our feelings. Like, you may be feeling vulnerable is one of the feelings that I think we all oftentimes struggle with, and we don't like that feeling. And at some point, we lose the fact that we're not the feeling. I'm going to explain all that in a minute. But we become the feeling. We think that we are the feeling, so we think we are the feeling of feeling vulnerable. We'll say, I feel very vulnerable today. Or I don't like this because I feel vulnerable. So the I feel vulnerable means I am that feeling. But of course, we are not the feeling, and that's what I want to talk about today. So I've got, I think, a really good analogy. Do you know when you're in at the movie theater, and let's say that you've gone to see a real thriller, those kind of movies where it's action, excuse me, and that what you're really going through in the movie, sometimes you can come out of a movie like that exhausted, because what happens is, so the screen is up and then the movie's being projected on the screen, right? And there's all kinds of scenes that can be quite anxiety-ridden, or you have a lot of fear, your heart's really pounding. Sometimes we even scream in a movie, like about the time that the guy's gonna stab her. You know what I'm talking about? Those kinds of movies. Or the other kind of movie could be, these I love, the love stories, the romantic movies that are so touching our heart, and pretty soon the tears are coming, and we are totally involved in being that feeling of the character on the screen. So that's who we lose ourselves, and that's who we become, because we're sobbing as if this happened to us, right? And those are oftentimes, we even come out of the movie still with the residue of some of these feelings. We're just there with those feelings, engrossed, and we're not even aware of anything. We're not aware of where are we, who are we, what's around us. We just are totally become like a sponge, like we are definitely what's going on in the movie. We're just in it. The thrillers, for sure, when the heart's pounding and people are screaming, and you know that feeling, right? Yeah, we've all been there. So that's exactly what we do in our everyday life, right? In everyday life, things come up, feelings come up, and especially the feelings that we don't like let's say we're feeling very vulnerable. None of us like that feeling. It's a yucky feeling, right? But let's say that's what's coming up, and let's say it came up because you had a particular confrontation or conversation with someone that really brought up those vulnerable feelings in you. And you walk away from that conversation not only with the feeling that you are vulnerable. You will say to somebody, I feel really vulnerable, or I felt very vulnerable after this conversation, or I'm feeling very vulnerable right now, which says you're the feeling, right? You are the feeling. But in reality, you're not the feeling, you're the screen. Just like in the movie theater. All of the trauma, drama, everything that's going on is being projected onto a screen, right? It's just all happening, in front of the screen. There it is, it's happening. Well, that's exactly the way we are. We, meaning our self, our true self, are just the screen. That's it. We're the screen. And what's happening is everyday life, what's ever happening in our everyday moment, is just being really projected onto the screen. Another analogy that I know a lot of people have used is it's like the sky, the blue sky. It doesn't have any caring when the cloud passes by. The sky is a screen, cloud passes by, done. Now, in everyday life, with us, what happens is when we are the screen and this vulnerable feeling shows up because of a situation that triggers something called vulnerable, being vulnerable, feeling vulnerable. What happens is that's just coming, we're the screen, it's showing up on our screen. And then what can happen to add even more to it, as we do as human beings, is we also have the story. So we have a whole storyline that goes through of why we feel vulnerable, because he said this or she said that, or I got accused of something I didn't do, or I've not been treated fairly, or that is not true, that's a lie. And all of those storylines are supporting the feeling of vulnerability. And at that point, we're just like in the movie theater, we're all just taken in and we forget that we're the screen. We're not that feeling. We can't be. It's impossible. It's just a feeling that's passing like a cloud, okay? But what happens also, though, with feelings is we will feel it. Even when we really get this solid down that we're just the screen, the feeling is part of that passing vulnerable feeling. We feel it, right? But we don't become it. We stay the screen. The feeling's there, we're feeling the feeling, but we don't become it. We're just letting it pass. And when we let it pass like that, even though we're feeling it, we're less apt to get that storyline going, or if we do, we'll catch ourselves. So all we're doing is letting that feeling pass. Another way to think about this is, what is the feeling? It's not tangible. We can't hold a feeling in our hand. We can't say that it's a certain shape, like, oh, vulnerable feelings are a certain shape. They're like a circle. Oh, and vulnerable feelings have a certain color, like yellow. No, none of that is. We can't find the feeling. If you go within or go without, where is the feeling? What does it look like? How can you hold it? No, it's not tangible. It's just actually a sensation and a thought. That's all it is. It's a sensation of what we've now labeled vulnerable feels like, and it's a thought. And we're the screen, and it's going by. This is so powerful, beyond what you can imagine. When you can really start to practice this whole thing of you are not the emotion. It literally is a game changer in your life, truly. It is. It's what all of the masters learn, the teachers talk about, it's everything. But I feel that it doesn't get really explained well, or you hear the words, but it's kind of like after you hear the words, that's all they are words. It's a problem that we have, right? There's nowhere else to describe except pointing with words. So that's why I really like to use some of these analogies. Now, here's though a key as far as I'm concerned, and I know it's not only been for me, but for many, many of the people that I work with, is there's only one way to really practice this. And you do have to practice. It's like anything else. To get good at, you gotta practice, right? But there's only one way to practice this, and that is to go within, set an intention, and the intention is to learn to be the screen. Use your imagination during this time in terms of seeing however it works for you. If it's the screen in the movie theater, if it's the screen on your TV, if it's the sky, however, or come up, there's a zillion ways you can come up with that. So come up with what works for you, but stay with that intention of however it is that you can imagine and see yourself being the screen and letting all of the daily whatevers pass by. Because it's a full day of feelings. You know, some are less, some are more, some are happy, some are sad, some are angry. They're all over the place, right? Frustration, whatever. It's feelings. So listen, we have way more opportunity to work with this because it's everyday life, right? It's literally everyday life. You're driving and you're behind a slow driver and you're late to wherever you're supposed to go. You have a feeling of frustration, anger, I don't know, all those feelings, and then you become that feeling, and then the storyline starts about, why is this idiot on the street, shouldn't have a driver's license, I'm late, I can't get by this idiot, you know, all the things that take place. Where did that go and take us? You become the feeling. It's insane, really, if you look at it. We're becoming something we can't even see, touch, or feel. Well, we feel something that we labeled as angry, sad, vulnerable, you know, rage, all this stuff. But we really can't touch it. We can't see it. We can't even tell the shape or the color. It's just a feeling. And a feeling isn't real because you can't touch it. And it's a feeling that actually starts oftentimes from a thought from the past. Something gets triggered. That's the way it's working. So in order to move beyond this challenge, let's call it, we've got to practice. And the practice happens when we're sitting quietly, meditating, or whatever you like to call sitting quietly, or just sitting quietly, and doing that on a regular, everyday basis for at least 30 minutes is my thing that I like to say, or that I believe is important. And at that particular sitting, or these sittings, you have the intention of starting to see that you're the screen, not the feeling, not the thought, period. And use your imagination. If it's easy for you to see that you're actually the screen because you think about the movie screen, if that's an easy way for you to start to visualize, and do that. It's a good one for me because I love movies, and you know, we go to a movie theater quite often, and I like really good movies. So whether I cried in the movie and all that heartbreak, or I'm scared, panicked, having almost anxiety, screaming, whatever. That's a good way for me to see that movie screen, that's all I am, is just a screen. At least, you know, if you say just a screen, well, the movie screen to me is so perfect because the movie's being projected on it and the screen is just a screen. But maybe for you, you've got to find another way to look at it. You may not be a moviegoer. Maybe though you could consider your TV screen, like the movie screen. You're watching movies at home on TV. So what? It's still, you're going to get caught up in that character, right? And that's cool. That's fine. That's why movies happen. It's entertainment. And so what's great about that is you can see how you do it. You can watch yourself afterwards, look back and go, oh wow, in that movie I thought I was that person. I thought I was going to be stabbed. I thought I was going to be murdered. I thought I was the one being stalked after. It's like, you know, there's a whole kinds of ways to get in touch with what happened at the movie theater, or in your TV, at the movie on your TV screen. So what I really want to get through you guys is this. You've got to know that the only way we get through any of this is practice. And the only way we get through any of this is to go within. It's to practice within. We can't do it in the external world. We're caught up in the external world. We're not going to see how to do this. You can't do it through the mind because it won't happen. If the ego mind gets a hold of it, and that's the only way, it's the only mind we have, it's going to take you down the wrong place. It's going to move you in a direction you don't even want to go. You don't even think about going. You've got to go within, where you're within the world that can be neutral, that allows us to practice something in a place where we're not feeling all those feelings, and it's just practice. It's just the same idea as athletes that practice visualization and seeing themselves do whatever they do. If it's a tennis player, he's hitting his backhand a certain way, and he visualizes and visualizes, and it's all within. And then, like magic, once he starts really getting that ingrained inside, his backhand is like awesome, right? So what I'm trying to show is there's common sense here. It's not just a idea that only some people can do. It's like for all of us to do. It's not like it's only for certain people or whatever. So I know here's the thing. I know the challenge is a lot of times what I hear from everybody, or not everybody, but some bodies, is, yeah, well, I'd like to be able to have the luxury of the time to sit quietly, but you don't understand my life. I don't have 5 minutes in the day. In fact, I don't even get half done what I should be getting done in the day, and I have so much responsibility that, it's just not possible. So, I know you've heard this before. What I say back is, yes, it is. And yes, you can make it possible. And if you don't, well, you're the one that struggles and suffers. You're the one that loses. Yeah? I know the feeling of overwhelm, and it is almost like counterintuitive to say when you're really overwhelmed, like over the top, that's the time to go somewhere quiet. I don't care if it's in your bathroom, shut the door, start breathing, and start the practice of going within. And that whole overwhelmed thing will start to dissolve, and what you were overwhelmed with will start to get clear, and everything will take on a complete different reality, literally. Literally. That's how it works. So, I hope that this was helpful, and I hope that you guys will really start to take the time to go within and work with this whole idea about you're not your feelings. You're the screen. That's it. You're not your feelings. You're the screen. Yeah. Even if you've got so many difficult things going on in your life that you can't even separate out which feeling you are, you get lost in it. You're just lost in the whole storyline, the whole thing, the whole business. You can take and work with that when you go within. It's an intention. You set the intention that you want to become the screen, literally. You want to be able to experience being the screen, not the feeling, just the screen that has all this projected. And at some point, I will tell you this one last thing, because this is cool. The thing that can happen is all of a sudden you may be in the moment of, could you tip over and think you're the emotion, the feeling, to you're not quite going to tip over, and all of a sudden you see, this happened to me so many times and I love it, all of a sudden I get it. It's like before I just ready to maybe dive into being the feeling, all of a sudden I notice, oh no, the screen, and I just see the feeling being projected onto the screen, and it's like I release every idea that or whatever's been going on in my mind, and all of a sudden that feeling just kind of goes away, dissipates. That's it. So remember, you will feel the feeling, even though you are the screen. You're going to feel those feelings to some degree, depending on how strong a particular feeling is for you. But when you know you're not that feeling, then you don't have the attachment and the identity with it. So it's much easier then for that feeling to be able to just float away. That's it. I love talking about this. I love it because it's so, it is so much, there's so much freedom in this. your life can change in miraculous ways once you learn to do this. Particularly those of you that are really got a lot of stuff and junk going on in your life, and maybe you're triggered a lot by your mother-in-law, your father-in-law, your own family, who knows, a boss that is brutal that you work with. All these things, what will happen is everything will kind of turn into the direction that's very positive. Very positive. Things can just show up that you wouldn't have believed. You learn to be the screen, and here's your boss, and what used to make you crazy now is just kind of on the screen, and all of a sudden the most incredible job will show up for you that you wouldn't have even ever imagined you could get. This is what happens when we get clear, but it's all going to happen from within. That's where you got to go, guys. You got to go within. So, okay, get off my soapbox, right? I hope this helped. I really do. I hope, just try to practice the idea, really. Just give it a shot. You have nothing to lose. Just give it a shot, right? Anyway, let me know. Let me know Let me know if you resonate with what I'm talking about. And let me know if you've already learned to do some of this. Yay, good for you. Let me know if you will try to do this or anything that you think will help others to hear, that you could talk to them on the comments below. Please do that. That's very helpful, and I do read them. And if you like the video, please click like. And if for some reason you haven't subscribed yet to this channel, please subscribe, and then click the little bell next to the subscribe button, and then that'll alert you every time a new video is coming up. Okay, guys, thanks so much for listening. Truly hope this helped. And by the way, take care.